guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to share with you how I make a quick and easy pasta dinner. This is my chicken in white sauce pasta. Before we go on to the recipe, if you're new here, please subscribe to my channel, and once you do, don't forget to click that little bell icon right next to it so that you get notified every time I upload a new video. Alright, so let's go on over to the kitchen counter and I'm going to share with you my quick and easy chicken in white sauce pasta recipe today. To make our pasta dish, the first thing we're going to start off with is the protein. I've got a piece of chicken breast that I've cut up into small bite-sized pieces like this. And I'm now going to season it with a little salt, some freshly cracked black pepper, a very tiny squirt of lemon juice, and I'm just going to toss everything well to make sure the seasonings get through to all the pieces. Now I've got a little olive oil in a pan on some medium heat here, and I'm just going to tip in my seasoned chicken pieces. We're going to make sure that that chicken is now cooked through. I'm going to toss these pieces around from time to time, making sure that it's cooked on all sides. Now because these chicken pieces are very little, it won't take too long for them to cook up. When the chicken pieces are no longer pink on the outside, you know they're almost cooked. I like to make sure, so I take one little piece out and cut through it. When the inside is no longer pink, you know that your chicken has cooked through. If not, continue stirring that around until your chicken has cooked. Once that's done, I'm going to take these little pieces out into a bowl and set them aside. And into the same pan, I'm going to add a little splash of olive oil. Now we're using the same pan so that all the flavors from the pan that we sauteed the chicken in comes through in our end dish. Now you're not going to wait for the oil to heat up because otherwise the garlic will burn. Into the oil, I've got about 2 large cloves of garlic that I've finely chopped. And I'm going to give that a quick stir and immediately go in with a little bit of green capsicum or green bell peppers. Stir that through and let that warm up a little. You've got to have your pan on some medium heat at this point. You don't want it to burn up. Now, the broccoli that we get cooks off really fast, so I just add a few little florets of broccoli into the pan straight away, and I'm going to saute that and partially cook it off. If the broccoli that you get takes longer to cook, I would recommend blanching them first before you add it to the pan. Into the pan, I'm also putting a little bit of sweet corn. I know this is not typical in a pasta dish, but I really love the flavor of sweet corn in this particular recipe. Try it out and I'm sure you won't be disappointed. Stir that all through really well. And at this point, I'm going to add the tiniest splash of vegetable stock like you've seen here. This is just to help that broccoli cook through. If you've already blanched your broccoli, you don't need to do that. I'm going to pop the lid on and let the veggies steam off in that broth for a minute or two. I like my vegetables with a little crunch, so I'm not going to cook them for too long. But if you like your vegetables softer, add a little more liquid to the pot and cook it with the lid on till it's tender enough for you. This works really well for me. So in about a minute or two, my broccoli is done just to my liking. I'm going to season the vegetable with a little bit of salt. Remember, the sauce will also have a little bit of seasoning to it. You can always add more salt later. I'm also going to crack a little more black pepper into the veggies. And I'm going to go in with some red chili flakes to taste and a sprinkling of mixed herbs. And you're going to stir everything through. Now at this point, I'm going to return the cooked chicken back into the pot, and any of those juices that are in the bowl, I'm going to add that in there as well and stir that around. Your chicken and veggie mix is now ready. We're going to start working on our white sauce next. Now the white sauce is a super simple recipe. You just have to keep a few things in mind. This white sauce starts off with a tiny splash of olive oil. Now I start off with olive oil so that the butter doesn't burn in the pan. To this I'm going to add about 1.5 tablespoons of butter, and I'm going to let that butter melt down. I've got my pan on medium heat at the moment. Now once your butter has melted, you're ready to add your flour. I use 1 tablespoon of all-purpose flour or maida, and we're going to stir that really well. You will notice that the flour and the butter and everything starts to foam a little bit in that pan, and that's fine. You just want to make sure to stir everything well. You can use a whisk if you'd like. You need to make sure that there are no lumps left in the pan. Now at this point, I cook it down for about 30 seconds to a minute, or until that raw flour smell goes away. You're not looking for any color to develop, but you just want that flour to cook off a tiny bit. I'm now ready to go in with my liquids. I start off by adding anywhere between 1 to 1¼ cup of milk. Start off with half the amount of milk. Stir everything through to make sure it dissolves well. If you see little lumps at this stage, don't be alarmed. That happens. That's just the flour reacting with everything else in the pan. I'm going to keep adding the milk now. Using the back of the spoon, you can break down any lumps that you see forming and keep stirring that sauce. Now this process gets a lot easier with a whisk, so I'm going to switch over to a whisk now and thoroughly whisk everything to break down any lumps and make sure that the sauce is nice and smooth and luscious. And you're going to cook this off on a medium heat till it thickens enough to suit your recipe and your liking. This takes just a few minutes, and like you can see here, all the lumps have broken down and my sauce has started thickening. And at this stage, just keep stirring. Make sure you're scraping down the sides and make sure that the sauce doesn't stick to the bottom of the pan till it thickens to your liking. Once the sauce is thick enough for you, take it off the heat and keep stirring for a few seconds more, because that pan is still going to be relatively hot and that's still going to continue cooking your sauce. Again, if at any point you feel that there are lumps forming in the sauce, it shouldn't at this stage, but if you encounter that, just use a whisk and whisk it thoroughly and it'll break down any clumping. And what you will be left with is a beautiful creamy white sauce. Now at this stage, I'm going to lightly season the sauce with a tiny bit of salt. Remember, there is a little bit of salt coming through from the butter, and the cheese that you're going to add to the sauce will have its own saltiness that it'll lend to it. So go easy on the salt at this point. You can always add more later. Stir that salt through, and you're now ready to add that white sauce that we've prepared into your chicken and veggie mix. You're going to mix everything through thoroughly. Now, if at this point you're finding the sauce too thin, just let it cook off for a little bit so that it thickens up to the right consistency. But remember, you're going to add your pasta to this pot. Make sure that your sauce is fluid enough to coat that pasta. Now, at this point, I'm going to add some grated cheese. I've got about 1/3 cup or so of grated cheddar cheese here, and I'm going to add that to the pot. And remember that the cheese will melt down in mere seconds. Just stir everything well. Now, at this point, you can taste your sauce to check and see if any seasoning needs to be adjusted, and then add your cooked pasta to the dish. Now this sauce is enough for 4 dinner-sized portions of pasta. I've just gone ahead and cooked my pasta as per the package instructions and added it to the pot. Now when you're cooking pasta, I always reserve about 1/2 cup of the liquid that it's boiled in, just in case I need to add it later. Stir that pasta and your sauce through well so that all of the noodles get coated with the sauce. I'm going to go in with a little bit of the water that the pasta was boiled in. What this will do is it'll lighten that sauce ever so slightly so that it coats the pasta well and help heat everything through without burning any of the sauce of the pasta. And I'm just going to keep this on the heat for about another minute or so till all that liquid is absorbed. And with this, my pasta is ready. Dinner is now ready to be served. And I'm going to finish this off with a light sprinkle of some dried parsley. Fresh parsley is even better. I didn't have any on hand, so I've just used the dried version. And I'm going to finish that off with a little grated Parmesan cheese. And your pasta dinner is now ready to serve. So guys, that's how easy it is to make your chicken pasta in a white sauce. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's recipe. If you did, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and share it with family and friends that you think might enjoy it. And as always, I'll leave a link to the complete recipe down in the description box below for you. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to see you really soon with another delicious recipe. So till then, take care. Bye.